The radioactivity in the sea is likely more of an issue for the Nemo and the space aliens that live in the sea than for us. What's going to kill all of the humans is going to be these ill winds. I've had them in the data since, probably 2004, without understanding what I was looking at. And still to the point where I even named them the ill winds and had the radioactive volcano and all of that in previous Alta reports, and described the situation we're facing now a number of years ago. Even then, I didn't really grasp what we were looking at. I thought maybe it was going to be as a result of war, not recognizing that the Israelis were going to be Zionists were going to be part and parcel of the destruction of the Fukushima Daiichi power plant that causes the situation we're in at the moment, right?
Oh, okay. We need to clarify that. Stuxnet and the connection to Israel. Tell us about that.
Stuxnet is an engineered, very complex group virus. It's a computer virus that was engineered by at least 120 people. A big effort, and it was put together by the Zionists. Whether it was actually, actually crafted in an Israeli Tel Aviv building, or it was done at Microsoft, is immaterial. It was done for the Zionists, by the Zionists, and it was let loose by the Zionists. It's designed to interfere with the Iranian nuclear effort. It's designed to destroy their power plants. The side effect is that the Daiichi power plant and one or two others use the same technology as the Iranians, and so the Stuxnet virus caused the Daiichi power plant in Fukushima to go batshit just at the time that the engineered tsunami hit and the engineered earthquake hit, and it caused a real problem there. Plus, there was this really strange unexplained, denied, and the fact that it's denied confirms it in my mind, appearance of a number of Israeli citizens with a device on the roof of the Fukushima Daiichi power plant number 2, I believe, that in the device itself, if you'll go online and look, resembles all kinds of interesting explosive devices for setting off larger explosions. And having gone through the War College with my dad in the 60s at Leavenworth, I'm very familiar with the types of material you need to cause nuclear problems, especially since they had to train everybody in the 60s in the military about Fat Man and Little Boy. That's what they used as their examples, right, to let them all know about all of this. And it's odd that it's or not odd, it's actually fitting that the technology used to do in the Fukushima Daiichi power plant is very similar to the in almost a copy of the ignition tube for the Fat Man nuke bomb that was the basic design that we had all through the early 60s. So it's like, proven technology, and they used it to destroy this nuclear power plant. Again, why would any kind of a being do this to our planet? I have no idea. Thus, I'm also thinking there's undoubtedly the hand of the alien agenda crap in this as well. Mm-hmm. But we live in a reality that is not as we've been sold. Our reality is sold to us in one fashion, and it is anything but that. It is so complex that the intrigues of the Medicis and the Borgias over whose bastard son would be the next pope in the Middle Ages is nothing compared to what we're facing here. Harry Seldon in the Foundation trilogy series postulated a very complex empire that spanned 10,000 worlds, and you can imagine the politics that is involved there. And I frequently feel like that's what we're living in at the moment, with all these agendas, sub-agendas, cross-plots, secret wars, and all of that kind of crap going on. But Fukushima was a hit. Whether it was a hit on Japan or whether it was a hit on the West Coast, I don't know. I don't know who benefits from it, but I know who's suffering from it, and that's a lot of us. Our data shows that it's going to get a lot worse. At the moment, there are hints in the current data that I'm just now starting to examine that suggest that the next point of a lot worse is going to be July 10, and that we may find a giant, horrific explosion occurs in or around that period of time. If it does, the issue of radioactivity in our food is moot.
People have speculated another earthquake to hit the already bad situation, the reactor number 4, I believe it is, that this might basically cause it to topple over. Do you think that it would be another earthquake, or are we talking about something else? I mean, again, I actually do want to...
I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
They could drive a Volkswagen Bug with a half a gallon of gas in the back of it into the reactor, and it would probably do it in. It's very tenuous at the moment anyway.
Yeah.
My data suggests it will occur with some hints in the model space that it'll occur in July. and that this is the beginning of the great harvest of souls that the Mayans talked about. And I can easily believe it. I'm sitting here in a level where my radioactivity is now several thousands of times higher than it was a few years back, less than 10 years back. And so I see with one or two more, and most of this increase in radioactivity is less than a year old. And so I see with one or two more events, the certainty of my death from radiation in 5 years is pretty good. Because within the first month, it was estimated that everybody in Seattle, within the first month of the Fukushima accident in 2011, on March 11, it was estimated that everybody in Seattle had breathed in, had the opportunity to breathe in at least 15 hot spots. It takes only one to cause a fatal cancer. A certain type of radioactivity in the form of, the heavier elements, strontium or, God forbid, plutonium, and you're toast. You're dead within days. You'll be bleeding out. Strontium longer, but plutonium within days. So the certainty of the great death wave is here when Fukushima goes. The data I have, the forecast, which admittedly I'm wrong a lot, but you got to give me credit where credit's due. Occasionally I get things, blondes on boats, right? That was just an out of the blue kind of should not have occurred stellar example. So that when we're right, we really are right. And maybe I'm right again. And if that's the case, it'll be July 10th. So if anybody is looking for a deadline to, beat feet below the equator to get a few more months of life out of the here, then my way of thinking is you'll know by July 10th how long you've got. If there's a big explosion on July 10th, you have probably less than 30 days to get south of the equator.
Now, go ahead. Go ahead and finish that point, Cliff.
Oh, I was going to say the issue again is that it takes 30 days for the gas clouds to hit the U.S., and then it'll take an additional total of 18 weeks for it to permeate the northern hemisphere.
Great news. Yeah. Well, obviously, I want to talk about some of your suggestions for a possible fix on this. I know you don't answer whys and all that, but I just have to mention it. What is going on with the international community, if you will, on this question? Why aren't the best minds in the world working on fixing this thing once and for all, and actually try to do something about it? Is there any level of...
I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of hints in our data that it's not healthy to do so. Two people recently, and I won't say who because I don't want to get into that, and you can find them if you want to go look, but two people with nuclear expertise that have had really good suggestions have perished. One in a car wreck at 46 miles an hour, and it looked like it was doing 130. I don't know what they hit that thing with, but it just flattened it. And another individual that died in a small plane crash. I don't like small planes. They're too easy to bugger over. So people are indeed doing that. And here's the thing. Those individuals that, let me put in a little bit of an interesting wrinkle here, okay? And it'll lead into our next subject. A bear, and my number is probably wrong, okay, but within a general sense, about a half an hour's drive or about, say, 40 kilometers to the south west of the Daiichi power plant was the single laboratory in Japan that I've been told, by the way, as an aside, was one of the power plant's primary customers for electricity. But this single laboratory was Japan's only time lab.
Now, can you say who mentioned that to you? Source? No. Okay.
This time lab is, as I've been told, I've been given, I have contacts with some Chinese people that were smart enough to recognize that it's unhealthy to be a billionaire and Chinese descent and in China. And because they have a lot of money, they know things. And this guy owes me some knowledge because I've shared mine with him and he's benefited. And we're good buddies. He's in his late 70s now, and so he doesn't care much. He knows he's going to be dying soon. But anyway, he was telling me some stuff, and he told me about the time lab and their primary contracts and all this kind of stuff, and how curious it was that they were on an expected threshold path, is how he put it, prior to the Fukushima disaster, and that all the scientists that were there recognized that something was up, and they basically all disappeared off the planet. And he knows where two of them went, and he wouldn't say, but I think I know, but I won't say. But they basically figured that they were part of the hit, and they took off. And so there were about 7 real top individuals there that you just can't find on this planet anymore. And curiously, you can't find or get hold of or get information to Dr. Anderson anymore either.
That's right. What have you any idea what happened there? I mean, we tried to contact him a while back. I don't know if his website is even down right now. I think I have no idea.
I've tried various different approaches, and those people that have been kind enough to help me out have also tried various approaches. And the only time I was even, what I want to say is close to successful, I ran into a very hard wall. So I don't know what's going on. But he actually has what I think could be a potential to save our ass, okay? And my idea is half-baked and so on, but it has a good basis in the understanding of how time operates, and as he would validate. And basically my idea is to take these closed time-like loops, his little time bubbles, and to create 3 of them, one inside another, like those little Russian dolls. And the internal one would be the one that would be the power plant for the middle one, and the outer one would be to protect us against the effects. And by doing this duality in a triple fashion, we would be able to concentrate the stuff of time, that aspect of the reality that comes in, and so concentrate the aspect of time and maybe get like 10,000 years worth of disintegration within, a year, 6 months or so. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's going to be a tricky thing to accomplish. But if I'm correct, and he would have to validate this because I don't have any actual experimental knowledge to go on. I only have the mathematics that has been shared with me by some friends. But if I'm correct, in the process of creating the bubble within the bubble approach and using this generator on the inside to power it, in fact, a sphere will be created that will fundamentally shear the realities. It will separate the reality in all directions from the center of it in a radial fashion, and so we could set it up to literally come down and be a sphere that would encapsulate Fukushima. And we'd have to get it close enough and make it big enough that it would scoop out underneath Fukushima and it would isolate it. Everything that was within there would be dead. I'm talking plants, everything would be dead. I'm unsure of what would happen when we popped that bubble, because it would be a huge dead zone of an incredible level because of what we would do to it. But no radiation would get out, and all the radiation would decay in a shorter period of time. And then once we'd had it encapsulated, we could sit around and argue and figure the math of what would happen when we opened it up and try some experiments.